Okay, so here we are. Let me make sure that everything's playing. It still says waiting for Alan Belk on my phone, but here I am. So it says there's 0 people watching, but I know I'm watching. So there should be at least one person. There's me. Okay. Come on. Let's go. No, just I don't know. It's just wanting to be finicky. So we got blank screen. We got blank screen right now, waiting for the camera to catch up, or waiting for StreamYard to catch up with my camera, or whatever. I know I'm on camera because I can see myself on my screen. And Al Davis says he can hear me, but it's just there's no picture. Why is there no picture? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So just StreamYard being StreamYard, I guess. But not see that handsome face. Yes, you're denied my handsome face. I apologize for that. But it's something I have no control over. I'm just waiting for StreamYard to catch up because it's StreamYard that's holding it. I can see me on my monitor. There I am. Okay. Yeah. No, there's not a lens cap. It's the camera on my computer. So it's a StreamYard problem, I think, because like I said, I could see myself on the camera the whole time, but I couldn't see myself over here on my phone where I had YouTube pulled up. So yeah, but we're on now. We're live. Everything's good. We're all good to go. And I've got another one of these DC super villains figures to open up. Al Davis says evening. Good evening. Yeah. And I've managed to get all of the DC super villains figures except for the actual super villain, which is the Joker. I've managed to get all the superheroes in the superhero line. I've not managed to get the Joker, but today from Amazon, I should be getting my first actual supervillain figure from the DC supervillains line, which is Bane. So I'll be getting the 3-pack with Bane and 2 more superhero figures, another Batman and Nightwing. So let's see. I've got Batman, Robin, Green Lantern. I've opened up all 3 of those, and I've got the Flash that I'm going to open up for you today, and I've got Superman, and then I've got Nightwing. So that's and an extra Batman because I'll have the Batman in that set. So if we want to count both Batmans, and technically I have another single carded Batman that I've opened up. So that would be altogether we got eight DC superheroes that I've opened up in or will be opening up that I will be owning in the DC super villains line so far, and one actual DC supervillain. And so far, they made the Joker and they've made Killer Croc. I've seen the 2-pack at Target, and I think they're coming out with Mr. Freeze. And I could have sworn they were going to do Deathstroke, but I haven't seen hide nor hair of Deathstroke yet, as far as actually being released. But even then, like we're talking like those are all Batman villains, with the exception of Deathstroke, who is, if he's anybody's villain, is Nightwing's villain. I know a lot of people like to pair him off with Green Arrow, but come on, he's a Nightwing villain. So Al Davis says, will Bane come with a nerdy, weedy, skinny, short Bane, as well as the giant monster version? If not, I just why the damn hell not? Well, because it's the comic book version, and the comic book version built himself up from his childhood, so he was never a nerdy, skinny, dweeby guy in the comic book, except for like when he was like 5 years old, and then he was tricked into murdering somebody, and then he was sent into solitary confinement for a decade or more, and just basically did nothing but isometric exercises when he was in solitary, and came out looking like a bodybuilder. So if it was the Batman and Robin movie version, then you could get a skinny little Bane. And like I think some of the animated versions do the skinny little Bane, but yeah, in the comic book he wasn't that. Bobby Wald asked, did you already open the Flash? Man, that was fast. No, I haven't opened them up yet. We've just been talking. You haven't missed anything. Al Davis says Batman Forever scarred my memory. Batman Forever was the good Schumacher movie, though. It always winds up getting lumped in with Batman and Robin because Batman and Robin was horrible. I think unfairly, but like to me, Batman Forever is at least a fun popcorn movie, and Batman and Robin is the one where it's like it really goes off the rails. But yeah, so here we go. We got the Flash's emblem on the side of the package here, and it says "Dare." Why does it say "Dare"? Who dare? Who dare? That's bad grammar. Who dare? It's like knock knock. Who dare? It says "Who dare." I'm guessing it means those who dare or something like that, not who dares. But I can't read the whole thing. There's a little piece of Flash in the artwork down there. This is from that first wave where it still said "new" on it, and some nice artwork of the Flash over here. And I believe this is supposed to be Barry Allen, allegedly. So, and it says on the back, this is the blurb we have on the back of all of these: the nefarious DC supervillains never rest, always scheming and plotting. Their vile pursuit of crime and chaos wreaks havoc across the world. Superheroes beware. Oh yeah, so there's also the Jokerized Batman, if you want to include that as a villain. So let's see, the Joker, and Bane, and Killer Croc, and Jokerized. That's 4 supervillains. There's twice as many superheroes as supervillains in the DC supervillains line. I don't know why they called the line this. It confuses everybody. It confuses me too. Al Davis says, I was thinking of Hulk 2 as a 2-pack with Bruce. The poster from the Incredible Hulk homage to the Bill Bixby series had Bruce in front of a giant Hulk in semi-silhouette. Would love that. That would be cool. So, and then to recreate that as a diorama. And I know they have done a 2-pack of the Hulk with Banner several times. Most recently, they had him coming like at a first appearance pack with the Gray Hulk, which that was pretty cool. I would like to get that one of these days. So we got the Flash on the package. And I'm guessing, like with Green Lantern and Batman and Robin, yep, no rubber tabs holding this guy in the package. So thanks, Mattel. That's awesome. You can stop putting those on Masters of the Universe now, since you don't need them for DC superheroes. You don't need them for He-Man either. That's the way I look at it. And Hasbro, if Mattel can do it, you can do it too. So stop doing the rubber tabs and all that kind of BS. Just they fit in the package just fine. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do that ever again. And then the Flash has a whole weapons tree of various doohickeys that look like they clip onto him, or he can hold or grab or whatever. It looks like they've all got little tabs so they can all attach to one of the weapons racks that Batman comes with, or Robin comes with. But he doesn't have a weapons rack. He just has like a regular accessory tree like what Green Lantern had. And I'm guessing Superman will have that when we open it up the next time. Al Davis says, really haven't seen that before. Cheers, dude. Yeah, it was a Marvel Legends. I guess you're talking about the Hulk that I was talking about earlier. There was a Marvel Legends 2-pack with the first appearance versions of Banner and the Hulk. And I think Banner was colored mostly like how he was colored on that cover of the first appearance. I think he still had brown hair, which Banner infamously has blonde hair on that cover. But they did give the figure brown hair. But I think he's got the same with the orange shirt and the blue tie. I think it's colored the same as that. And then the Hulk is, of course, the Gray Hulk, and he has an orange shirt, just like how Banner has an orange shirt. So we'll go ahead and get these clipped off of here, because there's just a bunch of lightning bolt type stuff. The Flash is one of those figures that like doesn't really come with accessories usually. At least not in the traditional sense of, weapons and things like that. Because what would you have the Flash come with? I mean, his only real accessories that I can think of are his ring that he keeps his costume in. And, of course, that's going to be sculpted onto the figure. It's not going to be a separate accessory. And you could do like a kid-sized version of the ring for him to wear. And I know they've done that before. And I know I have one of the DC Direct. I think the 2-pack of him and Kid Flash came with a life-size version of the Flash ring that opened up, and you could even see where the package was folded up into it. And I gave it to my girlfriend at the time because I was a bit of a romantic, so I don't have it anymore. That was a long time ago. But if she's watching it, I hope she's doing well. Let's see. So there's a... We'll figure out where all this stuff goes. All kinds of crazy stuff on here. Oh, look at this. Can you see how they did this? Look, how are they expecting you to get it that with your snips? That's annoying. Even when my snips being very sharp and pointy, that's how am I supposed to do that? I'm just gonna have to break that one off. And now it's rough. Now it's got like a rough edge to it. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera, but trust me, it's there. I can see it. Why would they do that? Was just mean. And of course, this just takes up so much of the time for the video. So that's got a little hole in it. So I'm guessing it pegs onto something. But I don't know what yet. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm guessing this. Okay, so we got like a little wrist clip thing here. So I'm guessing that's something that supposed to attach onto that. But no, because that broke. Oh, I see. Okay, I think I got this figured out now. Okay. They had a little peg sticking off of the sprue there, which was confusing me. But I think that you're just supposed to take this wrist clip. I'll show you. I'll just leave this piece of sprue on there so I can show you the whole thing. You see that? So there's like a little wrist clip thing there. I'll try to be careful and not lose that piece of sprue. I want to be able to throw it away. So that should plug into this thing, and that should fit on his wrist. I hope I'm plugging it in the right way. It looks like there's a little indentation at the hole here. So I'm guessing it's supposed to plug in like so over here, but it's really tight. It's really tight to fit in there. I don't know if it's going to go in all the way. Maybe I'll try it from the other side. Man, if I'm having a hard time with this, imagine like the kid who's trying to do this like by himself. And I know a lot of the stuff has on there in legalese. Get a parent to help you do this. And, you know, I'm sure some kids do, but I'm sure some kids are just like, I don't need my parents to do this. I know you use scissors. I'll just rip it off of the sprue. I don't care because I'm like 8. But yeah, the flash could come, you know, other accessory-wise, the only real accessories you would have is the ring, which I just talked about. And, you know, the cosmic treadmill. You could do that. But again, that's going to be like a larger accessory, and that's probably going to cost more money. And again, the DC Direct Flash figure that I had a cosmic tread. You know, this is just, I'm not fooling with this anymore. I'm not going to waste my time with it anymore. I've got more stuff to talk about in this package. That's just I'm going to have to heat it up with a hairdryer or something later. I'll try to get a picture of it after that. Put it on the community notes. But yeah, like but these days, you know, the way they draw the Flash in the comics, where they have all these lightning bolts and things sticking off of them, then they're able to, you know, make little lightning bolts and things to stick on your figure. And I don't know where a lot of these are going to go. I haven't figured a lot of this out yet. And I usually don't even bother with this kind of crap anyway, because I'm old school and I don't really think of the Flash as being like having lightning bolts and stuff sticking off of him. Because, like, to me, the lightning bolt motif on his costume is just that. He's supposed to be because he's fast as lightning. And I don't take it as literally as a lot of people seem to these days. So let's see how a lot of this stuff is supposed to stick on to him. So this one has a big peg. So I'm guessing that sticks into his back peg like that. And then he doesn't quite have the traditional Flash treads on there because they're kind of a little more like regular boot treads. You see that? But they don't go all the way across is what I'm saying. But they look close enough when he's just standing flat on the ground. So that's fine. And then I don't know what all this stuff is supposed to do. Like, where does this one go? Is he supposed to hold it? Maybe this is just one he's supposed to hold. I don't know. This one certainly looks like one that he's just supposed to. And he does have 2 of these, by the way. So maybe it's supposed to clip on somewhere, but I can't figure out where. It doesn't. I don't think there doesn't seem any tabs on the figure at all, which is good because that would just ugg it up a lot. I suppose they could put one on his boot where it would almost look like there was. Oh, Michael Gutierrez is here and says hi everyone and asks, is that Barry Allen Flash? I believe that it is. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be because he's like the current Flash in the comic books. And I got one more piece that I forgot to cut off, which is another one of these. Now, I'm pretty sure that this should probably clip around his calves. Although I could be mistaken about that, but it looks to me like something that would clip around his calves, so or his ankles or something like that. And they fit around there pretty well. So, but yeah, I have no idea what you're supposed to do with these. They look like they're supposed to fit around something, but I don't know what you're supposed to fit them around. And like I said, they don't really have anything that looks like they're supposed to clip onto anything. Maybe they clip onto this thing somehow. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not fooling with that thing right now because I can't get the peg into the hole. That's what she said. So looking at the back here, they just had the Flash running normally too with none of this crap on them. So I got no clue as to how a lot of this stuff is supposed to fit together. I don't think it came with any kind of accessories or anything. Or wait, it did come with a little sheet. Maybe it'll say so on the sheet. But yeah, so there you can clip that stuff on there. Or maybe even clip it to his arms, like his elbows. Oh, so you can clip those, I guess, wherever. But I'm not really going to fool too much with that crap anyway. I did want to go over it in the unboxing just so, I was being thorough. It says the Flash. Actually, yeah, so he's just supposed to hold that kind of scythe-looking one. I guess he's just supposed to hold it. It doesn't say what to do with all of this stuff. It just says attach effects to the Flash. It says remove accessories from the frame, and it does show scissors for that. And then adult must remove parts from frame and discard the frame after removing parts. Because legalese. And then it says attach effects parts to the Flash. So yeah, what I'm going to have to do later is heat this one up with a hairdryer and then put the because at least on mine, it's giving me kind of a hard time as to actually going on there. And I don't really want to waste any more time on it in this video because mainly I want to talk about the figure anyway. Bobby Wald says, I would like to see a Robot Chicken sketch of the fastest thing alive with the Flash, Sonic, Quicksilver, and Roadrunner and Speedy Gonzalez. Turns out they start speeding up the Earth's rotation like a hamster ball. That would be a problem, wouldn't it? So I think the Flash would be the fastest, though, because he can literally run through time. And I've never seen any of the other guys do that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe Sonic the Hedgehog has run through time at some point. I don't know. So... but I've never seen Speedy Gonzalez do it, and I know Quicksilver has a hard limit of I think 3 times the speed of sound, which is pretty fast, don't get me wrong, but compared to the Flash, it's Marvel like to keep things a little more realistic than DC, so running at Mach 3, that's more realistic than the speed of light. Come on, I guess, whatever. So he is mostly, I think, a fairly classic Flash costume. And unlike Batman, who had a lot of seams and textures and things like that, the Flash doesn't seem to have that. He seems to have a fairly smooth costume with not a lot of seams to it, very streamlined. And I'm glad of that because I kind of feel like that kind of stuff is unnecessary. Michael asks, I wonder if Barry or Alan or Wally West will be the Flash in James Gunn's DC universe. I wonder if we're going to get a Flash. And James Gunn's DC universe at this point. So it does not seem like it's going to last much longer after Supergirl. And with the Paramount merger coming in, I'm thinking they're going to want to clean house, honestly. And that means either they're going to reboot it again, or, you know me, this is what I keep saying they should have done in the first place. Bring back Zack Snyder. Like, I think the smartest thing they can do, that DC can do, is to bring back Zack Snyder and let him just finish off his story. Just do Justice League 2 and 3. Maybe just even Justice League 2. But something to finish off the story and give that story a conclusion, so that then they can do a reboot, a clean reboot, and not have the mess that they have now where everybody's arguing about it. That was a foolish thing to do. They should have, and originally they were going to do this. That's why they were going to bring back Henry Cavill. Remember, they were gonna do I think at least one last Justice League movie, and maybe do another Superman movie and the solo Ben Affleck Batman movie, because they were gonna have Ben Affleck was going to be in Aquaman 2, remember, and they cut that out once James Gunn came in. So they were all prepared to do that, and then he comes in and he goes, "Nah, we're going to sort of reboot everything," and then that broke the fan base worse than it was broken before. If James Gunn, if you're watching this, if you had have just finished off the Zack Snyder stuff, people wouldn't be asking you to bring back Zack Snyder right now. People wouldn't be asking you to bring back Henry Cavill. People would have been fine with you doing your own reboot with your own Superman and everything like that. I don't think I would have liked the movie anyway, honestly. I tried to watch it and couldn't make it past 5 minutes of it. But I think a lot less people will be complaining about it on the internet, and I probably wouldn't be complaining about it on the internet either. I mean, like, I'd probably just be like, "Oh well, whatever. It's a version of Superman I don't like." There's plenty of them I do like. I can go back and rewatch those Christopher Reeve movies again. I can go back and rewatch Man of Steel again. I can go back and rewatch Superman, the animated series, The Fleischer Superman, the old Adventures of Superman from the 50s with George Reeves. I can go back and rewatch any of that. Smallville. I can go back and rewatch any of that stuff. I don't need a new version of Superman. I got plenty of good versions of Superman that I like that I can watch right now. It's fine. Michael Gutierrez says so far he's like the DC stuff that they released, and good. I'm glad he did. Honestly, like, I'm not trying to badmouth somebody who did enjoy it. If you liked it, you liked it, and that's cool. So, and I hope you like the next one that comes out, because I know they're gonna do at least one more movie. So because they're shooting Man of Tomorrow right now, and that's probably gonna come. I mean, with Warner Brothers, you never can tell. They did can Batgirl. But it looks like it's probably going to come out. So I hope you enjoy it when it does come out. Sincerely, really. I got a lot of friends who did like those movies, and I'm glad that they have something that they enjoy, honestly. But just wasn't for me, man. And that's okay. Not everything needs to be for me. That's fine. But yeah, I think that people would have been. I think that the Snyder fans would have been a little more forgiving of it, and they certainly wouldn't be asking for more if Zack had gotten to conclude his storyline. If they had have actually done, that last Zack Snyder Justice League movie and finished everything off, they wouldn't have any reason to, would they? Because it'd be done. Why are you asking? Nobody's asking for Lord of the Rings Part 4, the Return of the King. Nobody wants that. Like, I know people thought they wanted Star Wars sequels past Return of the Jedi, but once they got them, they didn't like them. So sometimes it's best to just leave well enough alone. Sometimes it's best that just the last time we saw Luke Skywalker was on Endor, seeing the ghost of his father join the ghost of Obi-Wan and Yoda and being happy, rather than seeing what they did with him. Yeah. So they canned the Batgirl movie because it was part of the DCEU. Yes, exactly. And they probably should have just, like I said, finished it up. They should have just done at least one more movie and finished it up, and then been done with it, and then people wouldn't be complaining. What would the Zack Snyder fans have to complain about if he'd gotten to conclude his story? Nobody wants a Back to the Future Part 4. Does anybody want a Back to the Future Part 4? I don't. Well, you want to bring Michael J. Fox out of retirement when he's got the Parkinson's and force him to do a movie where he's all jittery and everything. Nobody wants to see that. I love Michael J. Fox. I wouldn't want to put him through that. So Al Davis says the top hooded area of the hip ball socket joint going for skinny codpiece straight across the belt line looks too emaciated and penisy. I don't know, man. I hadn't been looking at it that hard. But if you look at it at just the wrong angle, like it can look kind of funny. I'm not gonna argue against that. I do think that it would have been better if they had him with more of a socket joint at the ribs, because you turn them at the waist and it gives you that kind of weird sort of, it's not natural that way. Michael says that Superman is actually faster than the Flash. He let the Flash win in the race they had in the comics. There's a great Saturday Night Live sketch around the time that Superman died in the comic books, that Superman fought Doomsday. And it's Superman's funeral. And like Rob Schneider was Jimmy Olsen, and Al Franken was Lex Luthor, and Tim Meadows was John Stewart, Green Lantern. So I think they were looking at that poster that came with the Death of Superman issue when they were picking out characters. David Spade was Aquaman, and he had the long hair that Aquaman had in the comics at the time. He didn't have the beard yet, but he had the long hair. And Adam Sandler was the Flash, and he was actually one of the funniest parts of it. The funniest parts of it were they had some characters from Marvel in there too that came to pay their respects. And one of them was the Hulk, and it was Chris Farley as the Hulk. But yeah, so that was one of the funniest parts, was Chris Farley as the Hulk. I really liked that part. I'm not gonna say too much about that part. Just go watch the sketch later on. Once this video is done, go watch the sketch. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I am going to talk about the Adam Sandler bit, since he played the Flash, and it kind of ties in with what Michael was saying there. And like basically the Flash is like, man, Superman was so great. He could fly and had super strength, and could see through solid objects, and all I can do is run fast. And Jimmy Olsen's like, no, Flash, don't do this to yourself. No, it's true. Superman could run just as fast as me, but he never let on, and I always appreciated that. Al Davis says, flight is explained perfectly in Invincible animation. Superheroes could fly feet first, or they'd look like they were driving an invisible car. Yeah, see, it's like, you could really fly in whatever position you want to, I guess, but it's probably just more comfortable. Like, I would imagine that, okay, you're young Clark Kent, you're growing up on Earth, and you're discovering your superpowers, right? You don't, unless you're the Silver Age version of Superman, or the Golden Age version of Superman that had all their powers like instantaneously. Even then, Golden Age Superman couldn't fly immediately. But Silver Age Super Baby was shown flying around his nursery, that kind of stuff. So yeah, unless you're the Silver Age Superman, at some point he's got to figure out that he can fly. That's most versions of Superman don't know he can fly yet. That's why you don't see him flying in the movie until after he's spent 12 years talking with Marlon Brando's holographic head. That's why in Man of Steel, you don't see him flying until, again, after he's talked with his space dad. Like, that's how that works. So yeah. But the closest thing that a young Clark Kent would know to flying before he knew how to flying was swimming. And how do you swim? You swim in this position when you're like lying on your belly, or you're doing the backstroke or whatever. But you're still, it's like you're lying down. So when Superman flies through the air, he flies through the air like I don't want to get the Flash in a different position right now, so we'll use Batman. Batman can fill in. So he flies like this, because it's kind of like swimming, isn't it? So that's how that works, I think. And then Michael Gutierrez says he admitted to Flash that he held back in the race. Well, he's just a nice guy, isn't he? Superman's just a nice guy, and he's not one to hurt his friend's feelings. Personally, I am of the opinion, how it works in my head canon, And this is my way of dealing with this, is if you're a superhero that only has like one superpower and Superman also has it, then you can do that superpower better than Superman. That's how it works in my head canon, because that's the only thing I think is fair. So somehow Hawkman is better at flying than Superman is. Don't ask me how that works. It just works. The Hulk is stronger than Superman. Yes, the Hulk is stronger than Superman in my head canon. I'm not talking about any, and you can have Superman be stronger in your head canon if you want. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, Superman is not as strong as the Hulk. The Hulk's strength is infinite. Nobody is stronger than the Hulk in my mind. That's it. That's all there is to it. He's just the strongest guy, and it's because he's powered by his rage, and his rage is infinite. So that means infinite strength. It's only stands to reason, doesn't it? So Al Davis says in Superman Returns, they practice in a swimming pool. Kind of tried to make it like his turns in flight were like diving in a pool, bending his body to twist, turn gracefully, and see, that's a good way to do it. I got issues with Superman Returns as a movie, but there are certain things that they got right. Like the casting of Brandon Routh. I thought he was great in the role. So, and Michael says, I'm only asking out of curiosity, but are there other Flash characters in this toy line? No, not yet. I haven't seen any yet. The only characters that I've seen are Batman, Robin, Green Lantern, that's Jon Stewart that I opened up last episode, the Flash, Superman, and then the Joker and the Jokerized version of Batman. Those are the only single carded figures I've seen. And then in 2-packs, we have Batman versus Killer Croc. And they're apparently going to put out a 2-pack of Batman versus Mr. Freeze, and then a 3-pack of that I should be getting today from Amazon. Hopefully it's shipped by now. I'll check that real quick since I'm thinking about it. It said it was supposed to show up today. Hopefully it's out for delivery. I know it's shipped technically, but is it out for delivery? But there's a 3-pack of Batman and Bane and Nightwing. So, it's out for delivery. And it says it's 9 stops away. So, in a line called DC Supervillains, there's only Batman villains so far. Although, I will say, and fans of The Flash can back me up on this, is that The Flash does have one of the best rogues galleries in comics. So, if you want to have some really cool supervillains in your DC Supervillain line, we need some Flash villains. We need Captain Cold. We need Gorilla Grodd. We need the Reverse Flash. And hey, the Reverse Flash is one of the easiest action figures to make if you already have the Flash, because you just mold this guy in yellow with red accents. That's all you need to do. Michael says the Robin figure looks like he's playing air guitar because of the way his arms are positioned. Maybe he is playing air guitar. We don't know. But I think that was probably because he was supposed to look like he was holding his bow staff, since he does come with the bow staff. There's some controversy as to which version of Robin that is, as to whether or not it's because they say it's Tim Drake, but I'm looking at, that's the Dick Grayson costume from the World's Finest series. So that's the post Rebirth Dick Grayson costume. So I say you can use it as whatever Robin you want to use it as, because your action figure, you can print it like it's whatever. But it is officially supposed to be Tim Drake, and he does come with a bow staff, but as I talked about on that episode, it's kind of hard to get him to hold the bow staff in 2 hands in a convincing way, at least in a way that's convincing to me anyway. Al Davis says they should do a lady 5-pack, Lois, Ma Kent, Incognito, Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, and Hawk Girl, and Iris West. Yeah, I would like that, and you would like that, and I'm sure most of the people in the chat would like that, but would it sell? Really, the best way to get those characters out, I would think, would be to put them in 2-packs with or 3-packs with already established characters. Like if they did Grodd, he'd be a bigger figure anyway. They'd probably want to put him in a multi-pack, Why not do an Iris West as the third figure to go in there? You've already got a superhero and a gorilla. Make the kids buy the female reporter figure. Lil Bane is here and says, "Hope you're doing well." And when I told you, her funeral was yesterday. Her funeral was today. Oh, okay. Well, I hope you did. I'm sure you honored her properly, and I hope that it brought you some peace and some closure. So, Michael Gutierrez says it's easy to have Donatello hold their bow staffs. Yeah, well, the problem with it is that like this isn't like a typical bow staff. You can see it's got these big old batwing blades on either side of it, and that makes it a lot shorter because it takes up a lot of the space that probably should have been taken up by actual staff. That's what the hard time. If I put I've got Donatello bow staves from other Donatello figures. I bet if I put one of those in his hands, he would hold it fine, or just like some kind of wooden dowel or something like that. But this is a cool design, and I like this design, but it is not very well designed for him holding it with two hands. Really, the staff part of it should have been much longer. So, Al Davis says they so rarely do Clark's, Bruce's, Barry's, etc. Yes, indeed. And even most of the Bruce Wayne figures they make, they're not really like Bruce Wayne in like a business suit or a tuxedo or a smoking jacket and an ascot or whatever you want to have Bruce Wayne wear. The turtleneck and jeans. They're rarely that type of Bruce Wayne costume. Michael, his mother passed away the other day. That's what Lil Bane is talking about. His mother passed away recently. So, but yeah, that's what he's been dealing with lately, unfortunately. So you have all of our sympathies, of course. But yeah, like a lot of the times when they do figures like that, it's some kind of costume change gimmick that makes it so they don't really look like they're wearing like the proper clothes. Like I remember the quick change Clark Kent figure they made for Superman the animated series. He looked like he was going hiking or something like that. Like he had a backpack that you were supposed to fold his cape up into, and not exactly ideal. But yeah. I like to have figures of the secret identity type characters because I think they're important. That's just me. And if I was doing a Barry Allen figure, he'd have his lab coat, and the lab coat would be removable, and then he'd just have kind of like a little, kind of checked like a houndstooth sport jacket underneath, and the bow tie. Barry Allen needs to have a bow tie. I know they don't want to give him one these days because it's not cool or whatever, but the Silver Age Barry Allen wore a bow tie, and I feel like it's important to his character because he works in a lab, so he doesn't want a tie hanging down and getting in his way all the time, so he wears a bow tie because it's practical. That's my version. Would the Robin be able to hold Gambit staff? Yeah, I don't see why not. It's not a problem with the articulation of the figure. Like I said, it's entirely a problem with how this staff is designed that he can't really hold it in a convincing two-handed pose for me. Al Davis says I was gonna moan about the waist belt line on the new figures not being crotchy enough compared to McFarlane. Yeah, I mean, like I was talking about that earlier too. Is I can't really turn his waist. To me, I don't know what the point of this articulation is because you can't really turn his waist in a natural fashion. It just doesn't look and he does have a little bit of a banana hammock kind of thing going on. That is true. So maybe that's why we haven't seen any female figures in this line yet, because I haven't figured out how to give the figures this articulation without the banana hammock. And you really don't want the women to have a banana hammock. Well, I mean, some people might want that, but most people probably want their women to look like they have, not that equipment going on downstairs. And no offense to anybody in the audience who might be watching. No. Nothing wrong with that. You do you live your life, but people don't want that on their Wonder Woman action figure for the most part, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But I guess that usually these days they give Wonder Woman a skirt anyway, so the skirt would help hide it, wouldn't it? Lady Gardens, not wood. Yes, yeah, exactly. So, but it's I'll put it this way: it's a question I don't want answered on action figures. That's not something we need to be. We don't. I don't really want to be talking about the genitals on the action figures. You know what I mean? That's not something I'm really interested in discussing. So, and of course, I do discuss it when it does come up because sometimes it comes up. We all know this, but I'm not being a prude or anything. But it just seems like it should be outside the purview of action figures. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and talk about. I did talk about a little bit about the sculpting on this figure. Really, the only kind of new 52-ish thing about him is the cowl, where he does have that chin strap that they insist on giving him constantly these days, and he does have some of that detailing to it that's kind of new 52-ish sort of detail, but not a whole lot of it. It's just on the cowl. Al asks if I have a Flash figure to compare him to, and sure enough, I do, because I've got this guy, and he's got a bulge to him. I mean, this just how it's going to be. I guess it's like Alexander Salkind said when they were trying to figure out what kind of cup to give Christopher Reeve. Either he has a big one or he has nothing. And Michael says since McFarlane won't have the DC license next year, then Mattel could make Man of Tomorrow figures, and I'm sure they're intending to. I'm sure that's something they have planned out. So we probably will see some. So, but yeah, like and whatever other projects that they might feel like they want to make action figures of. I would imagine that Gorilla Grodd Jimmy Olsen show that they're making for some reason. I would imagine that seems like that's more aimed at adults. That'll be more like Peacemaker. And they'll be dropping a bunch of F-bombs on it and stuff like that. So I don't think they're going to want to make kids' toys of it. But I would not be surprised if they still made, if they were still going to have their Grodd figure come out around that same time. A comic book style Grodd that would come out around that same time. And then they would, be able to kind of cash in on it without actually making like a figure based on what's probably an R-rated property. But there they are next to each other a little bit. Al Davis says, I was talking about proportions, anatomy, anatomical realism. Yeah, we were talking about anatomical realism. A little too realistic. Like the ball and socket visible, McFarlane legs go into the pelvis better. Well, yeah, because this is hard plastic here. So that's why it's going to have that little bit of space there. Whereas McFarlane figures typically had that kind of soft plastic, that kind of rubbery plastic at the trunks, and that helps hide the seam better. That's why they do that. Now, granted, it doesn't work, I don't think, that great on every figure. Like, for example, on a character like Jim Gordon, who's just supposed to be wearing like regular trousers, it looks kind of odd. But, it is what it is. He does have what I'm talking about with that more sort of sockety torso kind of articulation that I think, that doesn't really look natural either, but it looks more natural than just like, him just having a cut joint at the waist. And of course the abs. So if you want to turn the abs also, that looks a lot more natural. But, and again, it's got that rubbery trunk piece. Yeah, Michael Gutierrez says that show is entitled The People versus Gorilla Grodd, which I think was just revealed like a couple of days ago. They just officially announced the title for that. So, but yeah, that's it's because of the way this thing's made, and I guess they don't want to do like a rubber trunk piece on a $12 action figure. It's just going to be kind of cheap. So I do think that the proportions and everything work really well on this figure. And he's got like a muscular build, but I don't think it's too muscular for the Flash. I kind of feel like this is kind of like a late stage Silver Age Carmine Infantino musculature. Al Davis says Gordon is wearing cutoff jean shorts over a pair of jeans. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. I was going to say it looked almost kind of like he's wearing a diaper a little bit. But by the way, I did get, it's in my pile of loot now from Big Bad Toy Store, the Gary Oldman Commissioner Gordon, so I will have that soon, which I'm really happy about because Gary Oldman is my favorite version of Commissioner Gordon. Not just my favorite version of Commissioner Gordon in live action, my favorite version, period, of anything. That's to me, that's the definitive Jim Gordon right there. If I was going to do a comic book, I would base my version in the comic book off of Gary Oldman's version. So yeah, it's just the way these are put together. And I don't think these have drop down hips. No, these don't have drop down hips. Bulletproof diaper nappy under his jeans. Well, it's like it's Gotham City. You never know what kind of psycho supervillain would try some kind of disgusting crap like that. So let's talk about the articulation. The Flash can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around across the arms, rotate all around the shoulders, and they raise up at the shoulders about that far, which is a pretty good range of motion, I suppose. And then he's got a single joint of articulation that bends in about that far. Great range of motion there. And then that rotates all the way around at a little bit of an angle, but it does rotate all the way around. And then the wrists rotate all the way around, and then they have a horizontal hinge that moves back and forth like so. And then he rotates all around the waist. We already talked about that, didn't we? And then he can kick up about that far. He can't kick back that far, but he can kick back a little far. That's again because his buttocks are sculpted onto the trunk piece there, and that does kind of hinder that a little bit. But I still feel like you can get a pretty good running pose out of him, even with that being the case. So you can still get him to run fairly well. So, and then he's got a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees, and he does have a boot cut, I believe. No, doesn't seem like he does have a boot cut. The other figures had a boot cut, but the Flash does not. The figure that I would most want to have a boot cut does not seem to have a boot cut. That does seem to be solid. I think that's even I can't tell if it's the same plastic or if it's glued together, but that's annoying. I would really want the Flash to have a boot cut. Of all of these characters, I would want the Flash to have a boot cut. So yeah, but it's a pretty cool figure. I'd gotten him a while back, and I kind of sat on him some. I opened up Batman first because Batman's my favorite character. I got him not long after I got Batman. I think I got him and Robin at the same time. So I opened up Robin first because Robin was the one I was most excited about overall, because I really wanted to figure Robin in that particular costume, which had, as far as I know, hasn't been made into a figure yet at all. So I was really happy to have that version of Robin in a figure. And I kind of forgot about the Flash and moved on to more He-Man stuff for a while. But I finally came back to him. Once I got Green Lantern and Superman, and I was like, well, I've got Green Lantern and Super. I'm going to want to open them up, so I guess I should open up Flash also. So I went ahead and opened up Green Lantern first because they had that Green Lantern show on HBO Max, and I kind of figured, well, people might be looking for videos on that online. Might as well ride that a little bit. And then I figured Flash would be the next logical choice to open up because we want to save Superman for last, you understand? So, and I am really excited about opening up that Superman action figure. He's probably the one I was actually most excited about opening, but I figured, like I said, it'd be a good idea to save Superman for last. That way we have something to look forward to. And I don't know what I'm going to open up next. I know I got some more He-Man stuff to open up. And I've got some Marvel stuff to open up. I got a lot of Marvel stuff that I haven't gotten around to opening up yet, especially this guy, because I've got the Deadpool and Wolverine version of Wolverine in the brown suit, which, of course, I mentioned before. When I first started reading comics in the 80s, he was wearing the brown suit. So this is my Wolverine here. So I'm looking forward to opening that up. And I've got a lot of other Marvel stuff too. I've got Electro from No Way Home, and I've got just a lot of Marvel Legends stuff and a lot of other kind of like ancillary Marvel stuff. I've got the Titan series, the 12-inch figure of the Hulk from the new Spider-Man movie from Brand New Day, and that one looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to opening that up. And I want to get the Spider-Man figure from Brand New Day too, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. They had a bunch of them at Walmart, and then they sold out like that at the Walmart by my work. So I haven't had a chance to pick them up yet. And Al Davis says that's my favorite Wolverine color scheme too. Hey, well, we're 80s kids, right? We're gonna that's gonna be our favorite. And I like the way they colored it in the movie because like it's not orange. It's kind of like a yellowish sort of tan. And John Byrne said that his intention was that should be read as tan rather than orange because that's just how comic book coloring was in the 80s. Hang on, I'll just grab that Hulk figure. I'll show you. It's a 12-inch figure, and you know they don't really make them much. Taller than the other 12-inch figures when they make the Hulk generally, unfortunately. But you know, there's the picture of him on the back, and there's the figure itself. And I thought I love the head sculpt on this guy and the way he's painted. He just looks sick. I really like that. So, and I like the design of the Hulk for the MCU because I know he's supposed to look like Mark Ruffalo, but Mark Ruffalo has like this kind of caveman look anyway. Like I don't know what he's got like heavy eyebrows and everything. He looks like a Herb Trimpe drawn version of the Hulk, which is maybe I'll just open him up next since I went through the trouble of bringing him over here. Yeah, next episode we'll open up this Hulk figure. But Michael says I have the Marvel Legends Doomsday Gambit and Doctor Doom figures on pre-order. Should have them by November 2nd. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to get the MCU version of Doctor Doom when he comes out because Doctor Doom is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and he's my number one favorite Marvel villain. Because who else would be? You know, you know, like in terms of villains, like I think the only villain in comics in general that rivals Doctor Doom is the Joker in terms of being like the great comic book villains. Yeah, he is kind of shiny, but remember, this is like a cheap kid's toy. This isn't really like an adult collectible or anything like that. But Al Davis says, I thought they used a dull, desaturated green plastic, like matte, not gloss. Think of them as being sweaty. That makes a lot more, and it's gross. So that's cool. It's a gross, sweaty Hulk. Remember in the pilot episode of the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno television series, and there's that great scene where they're doing the experiment to figure out what it was that triggered the metamorphosis into the Hulk, and they're trying all these things and nothing really works, and he goes to sleep and he has a nightmare, and the nightmare upsets him enough that he transforms into the Hulk, and he's smashing through the pressure chamber, and he breaks that steam pipe, and the Hulk's just all covered in the moisture from the steam. And man, the Hulk never looked cooler on that show than he looked in the pilot. I think, like I don't know if they just wanted to soften him up for the regular show, or if it's just because they took a lot more care in lighting him for the pilot episode, or what it was. But yeah, the Hulk never looked cooler on that show than he looked in the pilot. And the scene where he first turns into the Hulk, that Hulk out, it's so weird and creepy, and I love it. And both of those Hulk outs took place with the Hulk being covered in water, because one of them it's raining and one of them is from the steam pipe. But yeah, he kind of reminds me of the Hulk in that scene. Maybe I should get another one of these and make a Lou Ferrigno head for it. Wouldn't that be cool? That would be a fun thing to do. I mean, I need a Lou Ferrigno Hulk figure. Hasbro, why haven't you made us a Lou Ferrigno Hulk figure yet? I've got a Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man, and I don't have a Lou Ferrigno Hulk. I never thought I'd live in that world. I never thought I'd live in a world where I had Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man at all, but I kind of figured I'd get a Lou Ferrigno Hulk before I'd get a Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man. But yeah, I'll open up the Hulk on the next episode. How about that? We need to go and do that. I probably should have opened up more Spider-Man stuff like around the time the movie came out. I probably should have done that, because I know I've got some Spider-Man stuff to open up. So like I said, I've got Electro and I could get more actual movie Spider-Man figures because I know there's some of those I want to get, and like there's the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is still at my Walmart. I should get that because I do like Andrew Garfield. I thought he was a good Spider-Man. But anyway, that's it for the Flash. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Michael Gutierrez says I'm a '90s kid, and that's cool too because I grew up in the '90s also. See, I grew up in just the right sweet spot where I can remember the tail end of the '70s and all the '80s and all of the '90s. And I graduated from high school like in like '94. So it's still my growing up period as far as I'm looking at it. They say your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25. So yeah, I still grew up all through the '90s as I'm looking at it. I'm still not entirely grown up. I mean, I'm sitting here on my couch talking about action figures with you guys right now. So Foggy Inc. is here and says the sweet spot was born in '95. Yeah, see, like just as my childhood was ending, yours was beginning. And Michael says I was born in 1991. So you have a different perspective on a lot of things from me because you were born in a world that always had a Michael Keaton Batman, and I didn't have a Michael Keaton Batman until I was like 13. Imagine growing to 13 years old and the only live action version of Batman you had was Adam West. And I loved Adam West. Don't get me wrong. He's still my favorite live action Batman. But by that point, I was definitely ready for a more serious take on a live action Batman. And Michael Keaton gave that to me. So I'll always have affection for that version. Nostalgia. Foggy says he was default man. I couldn't imagine the anticipation for 1989. Dude, let me tell you something. And you've probably heard something about this over the years. When Michael Keaton was first cast as Batman, you got to remember that at that time, the main thing he was known for was comedic acting. And he'd done some serious acting up to that point. He'd been in Clean and Sober and done a few other like good dramatic roles by that point. But most people, his most famous role up to then was probably Mr. Mom. I think Beetlejuice had just come out like the year before. But most people, if they knew Michael Keaton, they knew Mr. Mom. So then people were like, Mr. Mom is Michael Keaton? And this Batman? Mr. Mom is Batman? And like Michael Keaton was like, he's not a really tall guy. He's like, what, 5'7"? And he's a very slight build. And he's not exactly, I think he's a handsome enough guy, but he's not exactly that sort of square jawed sort of look like traditionally you think of Bruce Wayne as looking. But that's not everything because, George Clooney was exactly that. And was George Clooney the best Batman? No, he wasn't. So I think everybody will agree with me on that. George Clooney was not the best Batman. I think very few people would say George Clooney is the best Batman. So there are maybe some who said he was not that bad of a Batman. I liked him better than Robert Pattinson, honestly. But but yeah, Keaton's like 5'7", I think. 5'7", I think is his official height. And they might have added a couple inches to it here and there. But I remember reading in Comic Scene magazine an interview with Sam Hamm as he was working on his screenplay. And I think he was just a couple of drafts into it. And he was talking about what he was wanting to do with Batman. And I'm like, dude, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to see this movie. And then we heard Jack Nicholson was going to play Batman. We heard Michael Keaton was going to play, or I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson was going to play the Joker, and Michael Keaton was going to play Batman. And then everybody flipped out because they were casting Mr. Mom as Batman, but not me. I was actually like the one person, believe it or not, I was actually the one person who was like, you know what, Michael Keaton's a good actor. I don't care. Like, I bet he can pull it off. And sure enough, he did. It didn't really matter that he didn't physically resemble Batman, Bruce Wayne, whatever, because they put him in the suit and he looked like Batman because the suit was doing all the work there. And he had the attitude. He was able to bring that kind of intensity, and he was able to give Batman this kind of damaged quality to him. And that's why he was such a great Batman, was because he was able to bring the intensity. And that's what you need to play Batman. You need that kind of intensity. And with Heath Ledger, it was kind of the same thing, because I think everybody looked at Heath Ledger as being kind of a pretty boy, honestly. Like, I think he'd done Brokeback Mountain at that time, and everybody thought he was a good actor because of that. But it was still, the sort of thing where it's like everybody kind of more thought of him as being like just this kind of good-looking guy who could act, and he didn't really look like what you think the Joker looks like. By the same token, but they made their own version of the Joker that I thought really worked. But yeah, I was kind of like the one person that was pulling for Michael Keaton until that trailer came out, and it turned out he was awesome. And then everybody was on board, and I'm like, see, told you, it's gonna be awesome. And the Batmobile just looks so cool, man. I had a poster. I had the poster, the teaser poster, because they had them at the comic book store. And if you spent like $25 or more, they'd give you this poster for like an extra $5. So like, I begged my mom to buy me like enough stuff at the comic book store that I could get the poster. And if you've seen the original Batman poster, it's just the Batman emblem. That's all it is the Batman emblem. And no, it doesn't say the title. It doesn't say the cast. It doesn't say anything. All it says down to the bottom is June 23rd. And I was counting the days until June 23rd when the Batman movie would come out. And I didn't actually get to go see it that day. It was like a week or so later. But when I finally got to see it, oh man, it was the movie I'd been waiting for my whole life. And I still love it. It's still probably the Batman movie that I watch the most often. I don't know if I'd say it's the best Batman movie, and I don't even know if I'd say it's my favorite Batman movie. But it's, to me, the most rewatchable Batman movie. I can put it on at any time I watch it. Like, the Christopher Nolan movies are great, but I have to be in the right sort of mood to watch it. And I like Batman v Superman, and I like Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I like Ben Affleck and those. But those movies are so long, man. I got to have time to watch the whole thing. But Batman 1989 is still like, it's like, I think it's about 2 hours. I can watch it and just enjoy it. And it's a rewatchable movie to me. And Batman Forever is a rewatchable movie to me by the same token. I say that's the most popcorn Batman. Going back to talking about that earlier. But anyway, that's it for The Flash. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. No, you know what? I'm not going to do the Hulk on the next episode. I was thinking I'll do I forgot I had Superman to open up. I got to open up Superman next. Superman has... Okay, so the next episode after Superman, then I'm going to open up the Hulk. That's how that's going to work. Michael says Billy D. Williams' version of Harvey Dent became Two-Face in a comic, and he got a McFarlane figure, and I would really like to get that figure, actually. So yeah, next episode, I'm going to open up the Superman figure from this line. So slight correction. We're going to open up Superman, and then we're going to open up Hulk on the next episode. All right, so that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you. Yeah, Sweaty Hulk. Sweaty Hulk is on the way. We will talk to you next time. Bye.